This is the Into the Paddock Podcast.
We're in the summer break for some championships, or the Olympic break, as some others are calling it, because apparently you can't have any other sport happening on at the same time as the Olympics. I wanted to just take a look back on the season so far, because there's been a lot going on, and it feels like we've very quickly gotten to the beginning of August. It's kind of scary how quickly this year has been going, and there's been a lot going on. Firstly, I think the more positive end of the spectrum, what are the things that we've really enjoyed so far in the year of motorsport? What's been the thing, maybe an individual race, or maybe a whole championship? What stands out to you as one of the better things that's happened so far this year?
Formula One actually being good.
I think that's the headline for all of us, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. I think we were going to lean on that. I'm sorry for taking your thunder there so early.
No, I think it makes sense, and it was also going to be. I was going to say what the surprises of the year, and again, it's Formula One being good, right?
Yeah, and it didn't start out that way. I think the most. I'm going to go ahead and switch to the most surprising thing. I'm sorry.
They can be the same.
Yeah, Formula One good. IMSA. Just okay. And we started out the season like dogging on Formula One, promoting IMSA. Obviously, I participate in said series. So of course I want people to watch it, right? And I still do. I don't think that there's any reason to not watch an IMSA race right now. I think they're putting out a very, very good product. I think it is still light years away from what Formula One is even doing, right? Because the only thing that's making Formula One good right now is the battle for the top. It's not all these other individual stories that trickle down through IMSA. There's so much going on the grid. It's hard for it to not be good, right? But I think some of the race links, right? Like we the Daytona thing, the weather, and some full course yellow procedures, kind of slowing down the action a little bit. It's kind of detracting a little bit from what we expect from IMSA, and that's surprising, right? Is the fact that now Formula One is actually looking a little bit appealing.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and say F1 was certainly on my list of things that have been surprisingly good. Just having some form of parity at the top with the regulations as far as like budget cap and testing time seeming to work now, with teams who are behind catching up and teams who are ahead moving back towards the pack. But my good for the year so far has actually been WEC. WEC has been stupendous this whole entire year. They've nailed the BOP, it seems, for every race. In my opinion, from a fan perspective, every race is extremely competitive. Yes, teams rise and fall in their competitiveness, but the cream rises to the top. You've got Porsche, Ferrari, and Toyota all fighting each other for wins, with massive scraps from the midfield on back. And that's just the hypercar class. Meanwhile, in GTs, we've got Iron Dames fighting Manthey, Purex Racing, and the other factory teams down there. It's been a dogfight through all the classes, and I've loved every single race. Like I said in the first half, these races, each one of them has been at least 6 hours long. They fly by because it's so entertaining. So, if you asked me 3-4 years ago, well, if you told me 3-4 years ago that WEC would be the best series to watch in 2024, I would have laughed in your face, because I didn't expect this quick of a turnaround, even with this new era of cars. They've really knocked it out of the park, and I gotta give them props.
Yeah, it's interesting that a lot of the history, albeit limited history, of this show has been us bashing FIA series, and yet WEC has come up massively, as you were just saying, and Formula One has come up massively, and yet the FIA series that prior to that had been consistently really good, Formula E, this year has kind of been quite disappointing. It's been a surprising year in what has ended up being good and what has ended up being bad. And if I were to pick the thing that has been the best so far for me in terms of the racing action, I'd agree with you with WEC. I would like to say Formula One, and it is in a better place, but it's still only really the points battle that's the exciting thing. we still aren't having consistently exciting racing. We did at Silverstone, and if I were to pick a most exciting race of the year so far, I reckon it would be between Silverstone and the Indianapolis 500 for me. And I am heavily biased toward the Indianapolis 500 considering we were there. But Formula One's still got a long way to go. I think a lot of people are seeing this year as being the return of Formula One, and yet I think there's still a long way for it to go for it to actually be a good racing championship. But it'd be between those two for what's been the best. I think WEC just pips it in terms of the actual racing that we've had as well. It's been really good. And as we look ahead to the next few months of the rest of the Motorsport Championships, what are we looking forward to, I guess, out of the next few months? I think for me, it kind of comes back to Formula One again, just to see how this is going to end up. I think, as I said a couple of races ago, I think the first race back from the summer is going to dictate a lot of the momentum going forward, with teams bringing different upgrades. Can Red Bull stem the flow of the loss they've been having? That's going to be a major storyline. And are McLaren, is Lando, is Oscar going to be able to get all their stuff together to consistently start performing and then mount a championship challenge to Max and Red Bull? I think, that just the general championship outlook for Formula One is something I'm quite looking forward to, which is weird to say. What are you guys particularly looking forward to over the next few months?
The rest of the Michelin Pilot Challenge. And it's not because I'm in it. Stephen McAleer this weekend was the first repeat winner of the season.
Yeah, it's been an amazing competitive year.
Yeah, it's been a really, really good fight up front, right? Between Daniel Morad and Stephen McAleer. And there's a few other teams. Unfortunately, Core Motorsports is not one of them. At the front fighting for a championship this season. But I'm really looking forward to seeing where this thing is going to end up, because it has been a lot of fun to watch.
I already said it in the first. I'm excited to see WEC continue to kill it for 2 or 3 rounds it has left in its season. I know Lone Star Le Mans is their next race, so that'll be really exciting. Also, recently, I'm just excited for the Aston Martin LMD testing and for when it gets fully launched. It sounds so good. The last thing I'm really looking forward to kind of shift it a little bit is I want to see how strongly Shane Van Gisbergen finishes in the Xfinity Series.
Yes.
Because he is killing it.
Yeah.
He finished 4th at Indy. He's got 3 wins. He's locked into the playoffs, is the points leader for Xfinity. This dude, so freaking great. I cannot wait to see him get his first oval win. I'm going to say he's going to get it this season. I want to see how deep he goes into the playoffs. I don't think he'll win the championship, but I think he'll be extremely competitive. I love this man. He is amazing.
I think he'll be in the championship 4. I'll be willing to say that. I don't think he'll win the final, but I do think he will make the championship 4. He will go through several rounds of the playoffs, simply because there's road courses in them. But he's been making a lot of progress on the ovals. He said himself the problem he's been having is that he started off slow, but by the end of the race, he's worked it out. So, the latter half of the NASCAR season, they go back to a lot of tracks that they've already been to. I think that experience will help Shane a lot. And yeah, I do think he's going to go quite deep into the playoffs. Imagine if he won the championship. It's a fever dream, but, imagine all 3 of the other competitors take each other out and Shane wins it.
My soul cannot contain that type of excitement or expectation. Please don't make me suffer an aneurysm before it happens.
And it's funny that the most exciting thing about NASCAR isn't even anything in the Cup Series. It's about Shane Van Gisbergen in Xfinity.
Yeah, Xfinity's just been the best NASCAR series, hands down.
And that's not new either. It has been for a while.
This is the Into the Paddock Podcast.